Valley of Completion. Two people were standing opposite each other. They looked very shabby, as if they were about to fall off their feet. One of them was a blond man in a black suit. Attention was attracted by his unusual appearance. Blonde hair, 3 stripes on each cheek and blue, bottomless eyes. There was a demon inside this guy. The greatest and strongest demon of the 9 existing, but it was only half of him, Naruto. The fox called the guy's name. I know, Kurama, I'm at the limit, a boy. Thank you for everything you've done. For everything I've been through. Now I will give you my first and last gift. I will unite the chakra of the 10 of us tailed into one hearth, thereby making you a true sage. What will happen to your other half? This part of me will die forever. Our friendship is more important than my life. You are more important than me. I will give you a chance to correct the mistakes of the past and present. Goodbye, friend. No. That's not why I sought friendship with you. I don't want yours. But the demon wasn't listening to him. He gave all his strength to implement his plan. He knew that his sacrifice was not in vain. Another black-haired guy who wasn't involved in this conversation was looking at his best friend, although he wasn't like that now. Last attack. Let's solve everything with the last attack. A bunch of lightning bolts formed in the brunette's hand. He was already running at the blonde, but he just fell. Sasuke Uchiha, that was the name of the black-haired guy, did not have time to realize how he was already grabbed by the throat. The blond man's eyes became metatarsal. His body was covered with white fire. His hair turned red. There was only one thing he had to do right now. The blonde's hand pierced the chest of the black-haired guy. Naruto grabbed Sasuke's heart and tore it out. It was black. It was a black zetsu that somehow escaped while being sealed. Sasuke's eyes and thoughts cleared up. He immediately burned his heart along with his friend's brush. When Naruto was convinced of the death of the black misunderstanding, he inserted the rest of his hand into his friend's chest. Surprisingly, his hand turned into the missing part of the brunette when he cut off his hand again, already from the body of the brunette. She was alive again. Naruto? What have I done? The blonde was surprised. So his best friend wasn't crazy all this time? That is, everything that he did, but did not do of his own free will. What the hell? Forgive me, Naruto. I was blind. I was manipulated like Obito, Madara, as well as Itachi. My friend, it's time to dispel Tsukiyomi. Do you hate me? Of course not. It's not your fault. They folded the seal, but nothing happened. Tsukiyomi remained, did not dissipate. The sage was mistaken. Infinite space. There is a thin layer of water under your feet. This place was nothing special. Naruto, like Sasuke, was not the first to be here. It was at that time that they met the sage of the 6 paths for the first time. At that time, they received part of his power, and so, a super old man, as the scarlet-haired one liked to call him, levitated in front of them and stared at them intently. Why didn't the illusion fall off? Sasuke asked. He already felt bad from the realization of his mistakes caused by the black something. Forgive me, my son. I admit I made a mistake. How to fix it? To the surprise of those present, Naruto asked a logical question. Aren't you angry? No, old man, I'm very angry. But we won't fix anything with this. He was more right than ever. They understood that this world was lost. According to the old man, it is already impossible to dispel Tsukiyomi. You can't save this world anymore. Therefore, I will send you to a parallel one. I do not know at what time you will find yourself. Take care of yourself. Haragomo clapped his hands, the space collapsed and the 2 guys disappeared. The old man was left alone. Rain Country. A loud explosion rang out in the middle of the plain, scattering everything around and destroying the landscape. Shinobi who ran past were injured. Those who remained combat ready surrounded the epicenter of the explosion. Tension hung. They were already preparing for battle as a dissatisfied and painful groan was heard from the funnel. Damn Rikudo. Couldn't you have been softer? Don't shout at Naruto. You're too noisy. Ah, my head. Serves you right, Uchiha. For all the times you tried to kill me, their opponents froze, not understanding the situation. It was too absurd. Two guys fell from the sky with a deafening explosion, and instead of attacking, they were swearing among themselves, "Hey, you two, come out with your hands up, or otherwise we will attack you," said some shinobi, apparently the leader, who finally woke up. "Look Sasuke, they want to kill us already, it's all because of you, what the fuck is Sasuke?" The leader's patience snapped and he gave the order to attack. A huge number of kunai with explosive seals flew at the two guys. When the smoke cleared, the two guys were already gone. They just disappeared. Ognac country. Two shinobi were approaching the main gate of Konoha. They did not cause hostility, but it was because of these two that martial law was declared in Konoha. Hokage's office. The third sat at his desk and examined the papers, occasionally signing something in them. Suddenly, Anbu appeared in Shunshin, who clearly did not bring good news. "Hokage-sama. Two shinobi of the Kage level are approaching the gate. Gather all forces near the gate, and evacuate the residents." The third gave the order and immediately jumped out of the window. It was impossible to delay. Uzumaki Kushina, along with her friend and teammate Mikoto Uchiha, have just returned from a mission. Suddenly, they were surrounded by several Anbu in defensive positions. They saw the Hokage running towards the gate, and a group of shinobi behind him. Turning to the entrance to the village, the scarlet-haired woman saw her chance. Her ray of hope. Kushina didn't know this guy. She didn't know anything about his character, personality, but his hair. They were red. They were the same as hers. He's definitely Uzumaki. She's not alone. As the two unknown shinobi approached, the number of Konokovites increased, but they were clearly not friendly. Hokage stepped forward. "I am Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage of the village hidden in the foliage." "Name the destination of arrival," Sarutobi said it in a demanding tone. Apparently he was very stressed by this situation. "The third? Are you still alive?" This question was once asked by the blonde Naruto. Sasuke looked at him like he was the greatest idiot. No one appreciated Uzumaki's enthusiasm. "Idiot. Rikudo said he didn't know what time he would send us. And in general, our goals are behind him, see? They are already trying to hide Kushina." The mention of Jinchuriki's name noticeably strained the Hokage. So their target is Jinchuriki? No, not only that, he mentioned several goals. "Protect the Jinchuriki. You can't let them into the village." He gave the order of destruction and summoned his staff. Hiruzen swung it at Naruto. "Not so fast, old man," Uzumaki said with a grin. He suddenly appeared in front of the third, and hit him in the face. Hiruzen couldn't resist and passed out from the blow. Shinobi didn't have time to think, but they were stopped by a big one. No, rather a terrifying amount of pent-up chakra. It felt like it was aimed at individuals. The reason for this judgment was the invisibility of Kushina and Mikoto. They were not affected by this phenomenon. A red-haired guy approached them. "Well, hello Kushina-chan, Mikoto-chan." Both girls looked about 17 years old. "Do we know each other?" "Not yet, but we've come for you. Would you like to come with us?" Their response was immediate. They agreed. One wanted to escape from an engagement with a man she disliked, the other from all the hateful ones. With a look in her direction, Naruto fixed his gaze on his best friend. "We have fulfilled the first two goals. I'll leave the last one to you. After all, you hate him too much." "Shut up, Naruto. It was he who put the seal on me. It was he who created all the conditions for the death of the clan." At the end, Uchiha burst out screaming. The pressure increased. Surrounded by dozens of shinobi, the two guys behaved as if it wasn't even a problem, and no matter how angry the surrounding people were, they could not approach. The amount of chakra of one of them discouraged any desire to attack. It was as if they saw Biju in human form. "Smile Kushi-chan. We've come to pick you up." Incomprehension lit up the face of the named one. "Take her away? The strongest weapon of the village to snatch from the hands of dozens of shinobi? What for, Z? What for?" The girl stammered. "For her." The situation was incomprehensible. "Because you are Uzumaki." "I am also Uzumaki. I decided to gather the remnants of our family." The red-haired man grabbed the red-haired woman by the cheeks. He stretched them out, trying to make her smile. the girl shook her hands, trying to fight off the guy. I remind you, all this happened in an environment of hostile people. Only the second guy burst out laughing at this, the same Uchiha who came with Naruto. God Uzumaki, you are relentless. Ha 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 ha. When Naruto finished, he looked at the Hokage's body. As it turned out, it was an Earth clone. Hiruzen was in full uniform and with his staff. I propose to discuss everything in a more peaceful atmosphere. I'm sorry, old man, but it's pointless. I will take her away under any circumstances. And probably this girl too. Naruto pointed to Mikoto standing near Kushina. And why her? Sasuke asked casually. He had no idea what was going on in his friend's head. To acclimatize Kushi-chan, Naruto shouted, and the next moment Sarutobi Hiruzen crashed into him. Hokage tried to push out a potentially strongest enemy to minimize casualties from their battle, but Naruto blocked his blow and caught the staff. He pulled it on himself and gave a click to the Hokage. This time it was real. The old man, who had reclined 10 meters away, was again lying unconscious with a red spot on his forehead. Sasuke, I would ask you to move us away. Where exactly do you want to go? Let me think. I came up with it. To the land of whirlpools. Okay, space warped, a portal appeared through which the lands of the whirlpool could be seen. Naruto threw the unresisting girls over his shoulder and jumped into the portal laughing merrily. Uchiha, in turn, entered with a stoic face. The ANBU group tried to follow them, but the portal disappeared. One of the fighters lost his arm. Abomination, said Sasuke, throwing aside the hand holding him. Two shocked girls, lying on the shoulders of the former blonde, stared at him with some fear. Come on, my friend. Show some compassion. He lost his arm because of you, Naruto shouted cheerfully and fervently. Who would say? Uchiha muttered resentfully. Okay, then about it, now let's go to the ruins. As far as I remember, the barrier is still standing. Would ask you to let us go. We can move ourselves. Mikoto, who was silent all the time, gave her voice. Oh no, Mikoto-chan. If I let you go, we'll have to slow down and make a couple of stops. And so we will get there in about 2 hours. Mikoto tried to hit the red-headed man on the back, but she was stopped by her friend's hand. This girl was unusually silent. Looking into her friend's eyes, she noticed glimpses of happiness. Mikoto was confused by the fact that Habanera did not pay attention to the situation in which they found themselves. She knew that in Konoha the girl had no one left but the obsessive Minato. He actively tried to attract the girl to him, but she did not know the reasons for this. Arriving at the place, they found more or less a whole house and settled there. The Uchiha were not thrilled, because the village was destroyed. Don't you think this place has been abandoned for a long time? Do you seriously want to restore it? Of course. This is our homeland with Kushina, Naruto replied. It's all good, but I'm tired. I suggest you take a break. Ha ha ha, are you tired? Don't make me laugh. And this is being told to me by a man who has been fighting the gods for a long time? Shut up, Uzumaki. I'm not talking about your stamina at all. Even I've heard about your travels. Sasuke shouted. Sasuke. Don't you think you've become more emotional after I ripped out your heart? Yes. You made me burn my own heart and your hand. The girls listened attentively to the exchange of two friends. They didn't believe what was said. How can you survive after pulling out the heart? Why is the arm okay? Uchiha rubbed the bridge of his nose irritably and announced the end of the dispute. At night there was a crash that woke up two kunoichi running into the guy's room. They did not find them. When they went outside, they found Naruto, who in a fit of rage was destroying everything around him. His eyes were bloodshot and glowing, resembling Sharingan. Kushina wanted to come over and calm her down, but Sasuke's hand stopped her. He silently made sure that Naruto did not overdo it. It lasted about 5 hours when the blonde finally collapsed. Uchiha silently approached and picked up a friend. Entering the house, he, along with Uzumaki, flopped on the bed and hugged a friend. The girls watching this blushed a lot, thinking about the wrong thing. No, we are not in such a relationship. Sasuke said melancholically, warning about their questions. It's just that if someone doesn't do that, Naruto just won't fall asleep and what about him? Kushina was saying. She was very worried about the condition of the red-haired man. Even though she hadn't realized she was in love yet, these are nightmares, the consequences of a terrible war that affected his psyche. The fact that he's still sane is a miracle. I can show, but I'm sure you'll regret it. Show me, I also want to see. Mikoto wondered what could have happened. I'm not responsible for you. After these words, Sasuke's eyes turned into the eternal Mangekyo and Chakotomo Rinnegan. The girl's eyes darkened. Mikoto and Kushina were standing in the middle of the battle. She could not be called equal in any way. Two people controlling the monster mercilessly destroyed people. In the center of it all, Naruto was kneeling, only with golden hair. A huge cloud of thorns was flying straight at him. A certain black-haired Hyuga covered Naruto with her body. The next moment they were standing near Uzumaki with a dead girl in their arms. He was screaming her name, but all she said was, "I love you." Then they saw more deaths. At the end, they saw the tree that swallowed people, the rebirth of the goddess, her sealing, and the last battle. We also saw the very scene where Uchiha's heart was torn out and the last conversation with the old man. Getting here and saving two girls, and Genjutsu is over. When the girls woke up, they noticed Naruto peacefully snuffling in Sasuke's arms. And no matter how you look at it, after what you saw in Genjutsu, the relationship between the two guys became wild for them. What else to talk about? They almost killed each other. What was that? Mikoto was scared by what she saw. After all, she saw how she was being killed with a contract husband. Uchiha never liked Fugaku. Kushina's thoughts were in the same vein. It didn't fit into her understanding. How could she give herself to Minato Namikaze? At their first meeting, this man showed all his attitude towards her. He didn't love her a bit. What made her fall in love with this man? Their thoughts were interrupted by a former blonde. After looking at the girls, he turned towards Sasuke, who in turn released Naruto. The guy got up, stretched, and went towards the door. "Sasuke, we need to find the others and resurrect a couple of people." Turning around near the door, the scarlet-haired man said without further questions. Uchiha got up and followed Uzumaki. "Where are you going? Have you decided to leave us?" Kushina's shattered psyche made itself felt. Firstly, she was afraid that they would leave them to die alone, in a godforsaken place. "Oh, don't worry, we'll be back to you soon and not alone." Naruto was having fun. He couldn't stand it, because the people they were going to resurrect were quite unusual. After leaving the house, they headed for a wide, empty clearing behind the barrier. They were going to use a forbidden technique that had caused them a lot of problems in the past. Approaching Uchiha, Naruto extracted his Rinnegan and inserted it into his eye socket. Then, summoning a large number of white Zetsu Madara, he stepped aside and folded a series of seals: tiger, snake, dog, dragon, Edo Tensei no Jutsu. Immediately after these phrases, coffins came out of the ground and opened. A lot of red-haired people rose from the ashes and dust. Their scara was black, and their skin was all cracked. As1, everyone stared at Naruto in incomprehension. He folded the seal again. Reno Tensei, the head of the King of Hell, grew out of the ground. He opened his mouth and green lights flew out from there. Each of the lights flew into the resurrected bodies. Their eyes cleared up and acquired a normal white color. Their skin normalized and became softer, more lively. Among them was a great woman of the past world, but here she remained in Uzushio. She was much younger, Mito Uzumaki, Haim of the rebellious Uzumaki clan. Naruto fell to his knees, spitting blood from the sudden loss of energy. Even Uzumaki lacks the chakra for such techniques. He felt bad. His chakra reserves ran out abruptly. Sasuke grabbed him by the arm and lifted him up. "I need to get your eye back." His voice was hoarse. Exhaustion was more than obvious. "You should recover first. And then, no, my recovery will take about 1 to 2 months. At that time, I will be incapacitated, so we need you with your full strength." Uchiha once again tried to persuade Naruto, but he was stubborn. Naruto extracted the god's eye again and inserted it into Sasuke's eye socket, putting his hand to the organ. He healed the damage, his own eye recovered on its own. Uchiha wondered how much he could have been injured, since he was calmly restoring lost organs, but that wasn't the most important thing right now. Mito, come to me. The girl was in a small stupor. What does this person want? Is he Uzumaki? Why did he resurrect them? How did he do it? Who is he anyway? I'm sorry, but I don't have much time. These words brought her out of her stupor. As she got closer, she noticed a black-haired guy looking at them. She evaluated them, trying to somehow protect herself. What do you need? Will you marry me, Uzumaki? Mito? What? The girl widened her eyes. This person asks to marry him after the resurrection. What is he trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve? Trust and acceptance. I think you'll be happy. After trying to raise his voice, the guy coughed. I agree, she spoke in an even voice. It was not the first time she had been forced to marry. Okay, Sasuke, the rest is on you. I think I'll get some sleep. Naruto's eyes darkened and he instantly fell asleep. When they reached the barrier, a man named Sasuke carrying a red-haired man on his back stopped. He carefully laid Naruto on the ground and folded a series of seals. A passage formed in the barrier. Turning to the great clan, he said, "Welcome to Uzushio." So, who will explain to me what happened? Less than a day later, the outraged, new head of the clan, Mito Uzumaki, came to the house to find out what was happening. She remembered how she had died in the attack, how her clan had fallen, how they had all been betrayed. I do not know what is going on in Uzumaki's head right now. His psychological state has moved away from the norm. Speaking of which, I'm sure the idea of getting married was a joke. No one dared to interrupt the monologue of the person in whom she identified. Uchiha. According to Mito's sensory assessment, this Uchiha was a scary and dark person. His gaze was like a hail of needles. Okay, let's leave this question for now. To begin with, who are you? I am Sasuke Uchiha, the last member of the Uchiha clan, and Naruto Uzumaki, the last member of his clan, the new sage of the six paths and my friend. Now he can't explain his actions to us. He doesn't consult you. I thought you were companions. The girl was puzzled by the fact that all the decisions were made by one person. We are not just a companion, we are friends. I am sure that your resurrection was done for a reason. You're right there. A third voice sounded in the doorway. It was Naruto, in bandages, still pale. It was evident from him that his physical condition was still in a deplorable state. Sasuke, help me. Please, fucking idiot. Uchiha hissed a couple more curses, approached the red-haired man, ducked under his shoulder and dragged him to the sofa opposite Mito. I resurrected you, for the sake of confrontation in the fourth world. Sasuke, we need to hide this fact. If Raikage or someone else from the perpetrators of the destruction of Uzushio finds out about their uprising, there will be not 4 but 5 wars. So you're hinting at a second attempt to destroy the clan? Yes, but I don't think Madara has enough strength to rekindle the conflict. The fear of redheads is deeply ingrained. Don't you think that this will be the reason for their unification? Stop pretending like I'm not here. The girl did not like their conversation, as well as the fact that she was also ignored. She doesn't seem to be the last person in this room. However, the entire stream of curses was interrupted by a shout from another room. It seems Kushina has woken up. Uzumaki scratched his head in embarrassment. A red-haired hurricane in pajamas flew into the room. Where is he? Here. Sasuke's calmness could only be envied. How he managed to keep all his emotions was a secret to others. The only one who saw the real Uchiha was Naruto. A pair of bloodthirsty eyes were directed at Uzumaki, from which he shivered. Why aren't you in bed? Kushina, now is not the time. I didn't ask about the time, I'm asking what are you doing out of your damn bed? He came so that we could discuss some issues of the head of the Uzumaki clan. Despite the calmness of the voice, a smile crept onto Uchiha's face. A real sadist, who, only now she noticed that a red-haired woman with a hairstyle in the form of 2 buns was sitting opposite Naruto and Sasuke. Auntie Mito? Kushina, and you have grown up. the head of the clan said with a little smile. A question stuck in Naruto's head. Do they know each other? He knew that in their world, Mito handed over the tailed one, but in this world she remained in Uzushio, deciding not to torment the third Uzumaki in the room. Asked his question, do you know each other? Yes, I can say aunt for Kushina that we are relatives. Speaking of which. Auntie Mito, why are you alive and so young, and you about this? It's all the fault of that guy, once a woman, and now a girl, pointed to Naruto. I have nothing to do with it, it's all because of flaws in the Reno Tensei technique. Someone could get older, someone younger, you're probably lucky, oh, you, but that's not what's important right now. Sasuke, we need to create our alter ego, that is? Sasuke arched an eyebrow, as if showing his indignation. We have to direct the story along a path that is approximately known to us. Why? This time she spoke. It is unclear when the Uchiha entered. Ah. Mikoto. Don't scare me like that. She was closest to Kushina, so that there would be no surprises. I'm sorry Sasuke, but Danzo will have to wait. It's already dark, it's time to disperse. The irritation in Uchiha's voice could be felt. Well, don't be so angry. This is a forced measure, but no one listened to Naruto. He was mentally exhausted. Kushina took the restless Uzumaki by the scruff of the neck and dragged him away for recovery procedures. It was a calm, fine day in Konohagakure no Sato. The newly appointed fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, was sitting in his office sorting papers. And no matter how important this day was to him, he could not leave his post. October 10, the birthday of his first child with Senju Mirai. This girl was the daughter of two of the three legendary Sanins, the Toad Hermit Jiraiya and Tsunade Senju. In this world, Toad Sannin was not a perverted idiot. This in the future, of course, will surprise Naruto very much. Hokage's wife, Mirai, was already in the hospital. Minato still remembered how they tried to tie Jinchuriki to the village with his help. He was not against such a layout, because he loved the red-haired one to some extent. However, when she left the village, he did not feel anything. He didn't care about her anymore. Later, a blonde girl named Mirai appeared in the village, incredibly hyperactive and happy. After he was noticed by Jiraiya, he took Namikaze as a student. An ANBU fighter formed in the room and notified Kage about the beginning of labor. Without thinking twice, Minato moved to the mark on his wife. Minato. The girl's voice was like a loud whisper. Her face was pale and expressed either pain or happiness. The man took the girl's hand in his palm. Don't worry, I'm here, Minato tried to support his beloved. He tried with all his might to calm the trembling of excitement. A child's crying was heard in the room. A small, weak baby with a shock of yellow hair appeared in this cruel world. He was lying in the arms of Tsunade Senju, the best doctor and his immediate grandmother. Can I pick him up? Minato asked cautiously. He knew his mother-in-law's quick temper very well. No. First the mother. The woman lightly slapped the man's hands and went to another room to wash the baby. Minato went towards his wife. No. The sound of a falling body, a quick U-turn, a scary picture. Tsunade was already lying on the floor, possibly even dead. And the child ended up in the hands of a man in a spiral mask. You know, Namikaze, I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want to realize the revenge that you are worth. But it's just necessary. What are you talking about? Hokage made the decision to stall for time. He had to figure out how to take 2, possibly 3 living people. You have killed many, and you have not saved many. But anyway, it doesn't matter. After his shout, the man threw the child and tried to pierce him with a kunai. But Minato managed to grab the baby and move to his house, along with 2 other people. After examining the best Irionin with a cursory glance, he noted that the wounds on her body were not fatal. Another person appeared in the delivery room. Are you sure you want this? The masochist turned to the red-haired guy. As you might guess, it was Naruto and Sasuke. Even if I didn't want it, we can't leave Konoha without Biju. And if it's about my father, then he didn't love me or my mother. I won't be angry if you kill him. It won't be easy for me to kill your father. There is no need to worry so much, because in the next point of the plan, I will have to cut out almost your entire clan." Uchiha sighed heavily. This plan was terrible no matter how you look at it. They had to kill a lot of people, destroy several dozen destinies, and all for the sake of World War IV. Most of all, Sasuke was strained by the fact that this plan was invented by none other than Naruto, thereby, a bright, kind, caring friend. Tell Naruto. Why are we doing this? He knew the answer to this question. He understood why they were doing this, but he couldn't help but ask, I don't want a repeat of the fate of our world. If we manage to stop Kagyu, Madara, Obito, and the others alone, then we ourselves will become a target for destruction. Do you want to sacrifice yourself? A complete idiot, a grimace of annoyance appeared on the face under the mask. Even though Naruto didn't see it, he knew for sure that it was a no, I wasn't going to do that. But if it comes to that, I'll have to do it. That's what I hate about you, Uchiha hissed, no worse than Snake Sannin. Let's not joke about the golden rain. Apparently the red-headed man made him very angry. Okay, you do Namikaze, and I'll go print out the bright side of Kurama. Do as you like. Suddenly Naruto hit the air, crimson blood splashed around. A man in a root mask hung on the guy's arm. So Danzo was planning an attack, too. I don't like him more and more. Under the mask, Sasuke shared the feelings of the former blonde. He hated the old man with every fiber of his being. A thunderous roar shook the earth. A huge, slightly skinny, nine-tailed fox demon formed in the middle of the village. His eyes reflected a three-wash Sharingan. The person who called him quickly retreated from the scene of the crime. The battle between the Hokage and the masked man took place according to the canon, and so, the blue ball hit the masochist, depriving him of his right hand. You are strong fourth, you can rightfully call yourself Hokage. I'll leave this time, but don't worry, we'll meet again. The man disappeared, leaving Minato to deal with the huge fox disaster. During the sealing, Jiraiya sacrificed his life. Minato survived with his wife, and oddly enough, his son became the vessel for the demon, so the father survived with that girl, and the pervert sacrificed himself. Events took a completely unexpected turn for Naruto. Everything radically changed. Further events, yes. Most likely, Minato will achieve peace with the Uchiha and the clan will not be cut out. Sasuke was not pleased to talk about the death of his clan. Do I have to cut out your clan anyway? Although Naruto understood that it was he who came up with these plans and he had to kill his friend's clan, but still, yes. But it means that you don't have to destroy the whole clan. I agree. Then, kill everyone except children, boys and girls. Also leave a couple of women who did not support the coup plan. Do you want to prevent Itachi's fate? Silence reigned. It was a sore subject for Sasuke. He still loved his older brother very much and killed him with his own hands. This left a huge scar on Uchiha's heart and Naruto understood it perfectly. It was the murder of Itachi and the fact that Uzumaki remained the last close person for Sasuke that made him walk and cherish the red-haired one. Yes, okay, I'll do as you say, thanks. Sasuke felt incredibly relieved. Speaking of which. Sasuke, you're a girl in this world, what? Relief blew away like the wind. Uzumaki was either a relentless, unsuccessful joker, or he tried to steer the conversation away from an unpleasant topic. The recently dead village has been revived, people from different countries looking for the lost treasures of the greatest of the great. The Uzumaki clan discovered the fact of their return. It was inevitable. However, Naruto tried to hide the fact of the clan's revival. This event, in turn, caused a violent indignation of two red-haired ladies. Recently, Kushina has become very close friends with Mito. They often met when, mentally, the elder Uzumaki came to Naruto on clan issues. Due to the fact that Mito became younger, their relationship changed to sisterly. For 2 months, their relationship developed for the better. Officially, they became close friends. Naruto, in turn, understood from whom he took the ability to make friends in a short time. For Naruto, these 2 months were the happiest during his short life. He managed to survive a lot. He managed to defeat a man with the eyes of a god, offended by the world of Uchiha. The oldest no less offended Uchiha and goddess. However, the most difficult decision was just ahead. His own mother fell in love with him. An absurdity, a terrible absurdity for him appeared before his eyes. This could be considered a dirty trick on the part of Uchiha, because he did not say a word about the family ties between them, and now, the very Uchiha, it's good to spend time alone with his mother. Although in this world, they were not related, Naruto was sitting in a clearing, looking at his perfectly smooth right hand. It took him 15 minutes to recover the limb. He gave his hand to a friend who lost it in battle. Kushina was watching the red-haired man closely. He, in turn, tried to ignore her, which in turn turned out badly. It's all the fault of a pesky Uchiha named Mikoto. She told about her friend's feelings, because she knew about her uncertainty in such things. It's all the fault of the intimidation of the residents of Konoha and inexperience. Naruto didn't have any experience either. Also, two more things hindered him. Firstly, she was his mother, and secondly, a scar was left on his heart after the death of Hyugi. He knew about Hinata's feelings and even felt the same. He planned to propose to her after the war. But the war did not end in victory. Suddenly, the illusion from the hand fell off, showing a terrible-looking burn on the hand. It looks like Amaterasu's flame deals damage and chakra directly. The girl, who was constantly approaching, fell from a branch from the picture that opened in front of her. She did not shake herself off and immediately ran up to the former blonde. Gently taking the hand of the former blonde, she examined it. Her heart was painfully squeezed for unknown reasons, because this wound was not inflicted by her. "What's wrong with your hand?" She spoke more quietly than usual. After all, she had never seen scars on this man. Apparently the flame of Amaterasu has an effect not only on the body, but also on the very essence of the chakra. Do you mean to say that your friend's technique caused you not only physical harm? Yes. No matter how strong my regeneration is, there is a limit to everything. Now tell me why you were following me. The girl hesitated, trying to find a way out of the situation in which she found herself. "I wanted to talk to you. I'm sorry, but first you need to know something. As far as you know, I'm from another time and maybe the world. Sasuke and I lost the war because of the sage's mistake, but how does this relate to what I want to say?" She was clearly indignant about the words of the former blonde. He, in turn, tried to give the information as gently as possible. "In fact, I am your son with Minato." "What? In my time, I was the son of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage in Kushina Uzumaki. Now, review everything you wanted to say and we'll talk after I get back." "Okay." The guy got up and disappeared from the clearing, furious, not understanding anything. Uzumaki flew into the house in search of her two friends. She found Mikoto first, because she often did not leave the house. "Mikoto, what happened?" "Kushina." Uzumaki grabbed Uchiha by the shoulders and began to sausage back and forth. "Naruto is my son. You see, he's my son. Ahahahaha. I see the kid in his spirit." Kushina's face paled. The nine-tailed demon fox, for the first time since its separation, gave voice. She fell to her knees on the floor, and Uchiha sat down next to her and tried to call her. "Kushina, wake up." "Wake up to whom? I'm telling." You suddenly slumped to the floor without saying anything. "No need to scare so much, he's awake." "Who?" Mikoto clearly didn't understand her friend's condition. "Nine-tailed. Sit here, I'm behind Sasuke-san." However, the red-haired woman did not even pay attention to her friend's words. Staring at the wall with an unusually blank stare, Sasuke found himself in the girl's subconscious. He went down alone because the girl herself expressed unwillingness to see the beast. Sasuke appeared in front of the cage and fearlessly looked at the part of the strongest demon. "I was surprised to see you first. Damn Uchiha. What happened to him? I can feel his chakra in you." The reason was the revival of Uzushio and the return of the greatest clan. Most of all, it bothered Raikage and Tsuchikage, because they were the instigators of the war against Uzumaki. "We need to unite again," Tsuchikage shouted at the top of his voice. He remembered very well what was happening during the capture of the whirlpool. Uzumaki fought to the last. In the truest sense of the word, both children and old people fought, both men and women. "We managed to capture at most 100 people, Mr. Tsuchikage. Are you sure they don't have a way to fight back more strongly? The third Hokage was not inclined to repeat the attack. The bitter experience of the past taught him not to go to the devils. Hokage is right. They have at least one person who can effortlessly beat the third Hokage, the strongest of the Kage of his time. Are you talking about how one red-haired man came to your village and took the last Uzumaki we know? Hay glared at Minato, trying to squeeze information out of him. He used Biju to attack our village. The demon is at our disposal now, so their trump card is not a beast. The previously silent Mizuki spoke. The information was useful, even very. I support the idea of destroying them again. This time they may attack first, and then we are not tenants. None of us have a way to defend ourselves against them. As if I'd let you do that. The wall exploded and a man with an overwhelming chakra entered the meeting room. His shoulder-length hair levitated from the pressure of the chakra, the stripes on his cheeks became greasy as thick as a little finger, and red eyes with a vertical pupil completed the image. Anger and madness were splashing in them. The hand was not hidden under the henge, it was clawed, covered with red, fiery fur, apparently. When creating a new hearth, Naruto acquired some features of Biju's bodies. Who else? Are you? Sasuke got mad at the guy when he was surrounded by an escort. After examining them, Naruto turned his close attention to the familiar hearth, Itachi and Shursui Uchiha. Good Namikaze accompaniment that I have come to discourage you from attacking Uzushio, a youngster who thinks he is omnipotent. All Hokage before and after you were and will be like this. I suggest getting rid of unnecessary people here. Naruto spread his hands to the sides and a pure, simple, non-elemental chakra exploded, destroying the building. He knew that it wouldn't hurt Kage and the two Uchiha. They were standing in the crater now. It reminded Naruto of the battle with Pain. It seems he used a similar technique then, although he had created a huge crater, but without the power of the eyes, it was smaller. What have you done? By the way, the meeting was held in the village of Kamina. Sasuke created a cube around Naruto's body, but he did not lose his head, and by controlling the chakra around, dispelled the technique. A three-toothed kunai flew by the kid. He did not pay attention and just stretched out his hand forward. The space warped and Minato was spitting blood in Naruto's hands. Hokage tried to kill the guy with his most famous technique, the technique of one finger. Naruto grabbed him by the wrist and squeezed with all his strength, crushing that. Minato managed to move away from this person. He found himself behind the backs of temporary comrades, along with the Hokage. Quick, Naruto stated the fact, but I'm faster. He has already said the last words in Minato's ear. A sharp, incredibly strong blow knocked out all the air in Mizuki's strength, throwing him a huge distance. Once he was near Sasuke, he wrung his neck. Mifune was lying under the rubble trying to save his own life. After examining the work done, Naruto spoke, I think that's enough to convince you. Even if you unite, you will not win. A portal opened behind the guy. A hand reached out from there and pulled the guy into the gap. The overstrain of the recently restored Tenketsu brought down the red-haired one, and the hearth is not yet used to using huge amounts of chakra, or doing the Uzumaki heresy again. Whenever Naruto injured himself, Sasuke was very angry. Itachi was right when he said that Uchiha are monogamous. It's a pity, Sasuke, you got carried away in the wrong place. Shut up. Ha 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 ha, good joke. Naruto tears. For the first time in several months, Naruto burst into tears. He didn't need proof or any other bullshit in order to get to know his own friend, Peekaboo. He couldn't even say his name. Put aside the snot boy. Better go to Kushina. I need to examine you because otherwise Uchiha will not leave me alone. Of course I knew you were amazing, but not that amazing. What do you mean by that, kurama? At the moment Naruto was in Kushina's subconscious, there were mixed emotions on the fox's face. There was a feeling that he was thinking deeply about something. Now you can be called a ten-tailed one who has found his self, but only you don't have so much power. You're more like my equal half of Jubi. The guy's face fell. Have I become one of you? No. You are still mortal, but you have incredible regeneration for any creature. Even if your heart is torn out, you will stay alive. In order to kill you, you need to destroy at least 70% of your body. Also, your lifespan has been extended for an indefinite period, but you will die of old age anyway, so I'm practically immortal? Yes, you could say that. But I still don't understand this transformation process. Your further development is in a fog of ideas and assumptions. I understand you, my friend. Go already, you still need to listen to your mother's confession. Ha 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 ha. Kurama was clearly mocking poor Uzumaki. Speaking of which, Mito is also unevenly breathing towards you. You have a real talent for fooling my Jinchuriki. Ha 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 ha. Shut up, fox face. I would seal you in the body of a pervert, and you will watch his fantasies there. You're saying two scary things. When Naruto came out of his subconscious, the next moment he was pressed to the chest of a red-haired girl named Kushina. You're doing something again. Don't understand what. She screamed loudly and pressed the guy even harder into his chest. Kufina Zaidefe. For certain reasons, the guy's voice was muffled and it was difficult to make out something. But it wasn't hard to guess that he was trying to get out. Having had enough of the guy, the girl let him go and stared at his red face. The shortness of breath took some time. So, what did you want to talk to me about? I love you. Kushina decided not to bother with diluting the causes and consequences for a long time. She just blurted out what was on her mind. But the guy couldn't finish. He was silenced with a kiss. The Uchiha standing next to her choked on air, and Sasuke opened his eyes in surprise with all his might. So much so that they almost fell out of their orbits when the kiss was broken. Kushina spoke. The fact that you should be my son in a parallel future means absolutely nothing. This does not prevent me from loving you, but even stimulates you. Hey Naruto, did you seriously hope that this would stop her? The fox's voice rang out in the guy's head. Apparently he was able to establish a connection between them. Kushina froze for a couple of seconds and looked unkindly at Naruto. However, she did not have time to do anything, because the guy grabbed her, now pressing her to his chest. These feelings are mutual, although it still seems strange to me. What did the fox tell you? Sasuke was clearly interested in his friend's condition. He said that I could be called practically immortal. For example, my lifespan has been extended and it's harder to kill me now. Some advantages can be said. Okay, Uchiha finally exhaled with relief. Naruto pressed the poor girl even harder in his arms. And now, can I leave us alone? Mikoto immediately grabbed Sasuke by the hand and dragged him away in an unknown direction. Time skip. Now the youngest Namikaze is about 13 to 14 years old. He calmly walked through the streets, not paying attention to the hateful glances. He had too good a day, because today there will be an exam for Chunin Suna, Konoha, Cloud, Stone and Whirlpool. Took part in it. The presence of the latter, according to Namikaze Jr., was incredible. Once his father told little Naruto about the cruelty of these devils towards their enemies. They were scary, even very scary. His thoughts were interrupted by something red concentrating his gaze. He saw 10 people, 9 of whom were children of his age, and the eldest of them was a tall man. He was wearing a red cloak with a black flame at the hem, and on the back was written, Shadow of the Second Whirlpool. On his head was a hat with a kanji whirlpool. A slight smile played on his face as he looked at the children around him. The blond man would have remained standing if the same man hadn't looked at him. That look. He chilled the young man to the bone. Inspiring awe made the boy shiver. The man, apparently, would have continued to watch, but he was distracted by the girl. Yuzukage-sama, why should we take this unnecessary exam? They're practically all frail. And their chakra level is like that of newborns. Stop Minori, he might get angry. Another girl, apparently a friend of the first one, tried to pull her away from getting their leader. None of the group liked the idea of going outside the village and fighting. First of all, now I am not your Kage, but a teacher. Secondly, Mirai, don't be so shy in my presence. Thirdly, you, as the younger generation, should ask questions, and I, as the older one, should explain everything to you. Well, Naruto-san, Minori is right. Why did you bring me here? You see, Kichiro. We needed to send someone to the exam for the sake of maintaining friendly relations. But we don't have any friends, do we? Another guy spoke up. Apparently he was interested in politics. Well, Kakuzu, it's your Kage's fault. I have already managed to spoil relations with other countries before I ascended to the post, And Naruto, sensei, this was said by the most indecisive person from those who came. In some moments, she resembles Naruto Hinata. Even the names are the same. Yes, Hinata-chan. Kushina-san asked me to give you this. The girl quickly blurted out and held out a box of food. She was an orphan. When Naruto saw her for the first time, he couldn't stand it and took her with him. She is now known in the whirlpool as a budding shinobi, and the daughter of Uzumaki. No one mocked her for being adopted. The orphan childhood of Kushina and Naruto made itself felt, forcing her to love her with all her heart. My God, Hinata, you're so cute. Naruto abruptly sat down, grabbed the girl and began rubbing his cheek against hers, pulling away. He looked at her seriously. How many times do I have to tell you that you can call me dad whenever you want? But after all, we are in a strange village, and what if someone finds out about it? She was too excited to speak properly. Shy and sweet person, Naruto, sensei, she's like this only with you and your wife. She beats us for any puncture. It's not fair. One of the guys got angry, clearly dissatisfied with what was happening. Hitomi, I do not know why she does not like guys like you. Am I that bad? Exactly. Hinata abruptly turned in his direction and coldly blurted out, you need to communicate less with Uncle Sasuke. Naruto clutched at his heart. He had never heard such coldness from his daughter. And no, Dad, please don't. Uncle Sasuke and Sister Mikoto often train me when Itachi is not busy. Speaking of which, Uchiha Sasuke, the second most powerful person in this world, Naruto's friend, got married and had a child with Mikoto. Naruto, when he found out about this, was so surprised that his Watu? It was audible even through the muffling barrier. As for his becoming a Kage, then everything is simple. He has 2 wives. You will probably ask how he is still alive, but his second wife, no matter how hard it is to guess, this is Mito Uzumaki. She joined their couple about 2 years ago. They got along very well even in intimate matters. As Mito said, only a Uzumaki man can satisfy a Uzumaki woman, and only 2 Uzumaki women can satisfy an Uzumaki. For Naruto, it turned out to be a kind of wildness doubly. Not only is he married to his own mother, but he has another wife. Let's return to the narrative. Hello Uzumaki Dano. I am glad to see you in good health. It was Minato. His smile was not the most sincere, and his posture was tense to the limit. He was already ready to fight. About Namake's Minato. The fastest person before my appearance. I'm so glad to see you. Naruto tried to hug the Hokage, but the latter, frightened, moved to his son's mark and stood in a defensive stance. In the blink of an eye, the guy was right in front of them, looking with an appraising gaze. The younger Namakes flew away from fright. Toli pulled out a kunai from surprise and tried to put Kage in the neck. However, a girl's hand stopped him. So you're Namake's Naruto, not bad. The red-haired man put his hand on the head of his angry daughter and said, this is my daughter, her name is Hinata. If you're going to be friends with her, it's not the best option to stab me with a knife. She's very sweet and shy, so if you hurt her, I'll kill you. His words didn't match the expression on the girl's face. She squeezed the guy's hand hard, as if trying to break it. Minato froze in shock. Is this the same person who beat the 5 Kage without straining? And he revealed the identity of his child. You have a good son, Minato. I would even say painful. And sorry Uzumaki Dano. I just still remember our battle. Minato smiled guiltily, but did not relax his posture. The man in front of him was too dangerous. Okay, Minato. It's time for us, and let the children go to the distribution. Are you sure? Yes, I'm not a bit worried about them. Our meeting should be celebrated. I heard you have a wonderful ramen. Do you want to go there? Yes. The exam went about as Naruto remembered it. Only the composition of the fights and their number has changed. Our Kage was sitting on the balcony with the others and watching the fights, inside complaining about the frailty of being that he still remembered how one red-haired person claimed him and made him her husband, safely throwing off the position from herself. An ad caught his attention. Next fight. Uzumaki Hinata vs Namake's Naruto. The fight itself was fast, the opponents were moving at an incredible speed, leaving mirages. Namake's actively used Hirashin OM, but he was not particularly effective against a representative of the Uzumaki clan. All his seals burned within 5 meters of the girl, which forced Naruto to use his favorite technique less. And here but again scattered a huge number of kunai in the district. He appeared right in front of the girl's limit and threw the kunai inside, forcing her to dodge. Clone at this moment, the clone, using the shadow shuriken technique, forced the girl to lose her vigilance and one kunai with a seal managed to go. Rasengan formed in his hand, he moved to kunai and tried to hit Hinata, but blood-red chains enveloped him. One of the chains rushed to the head, trying to break through that. Naruto managed to move to the far kunai, remaining intact. Namikaze raised his hand and said, "I give up. I don't stand a chance against her." The last words put the pride of one Uchiha under attack. Satsuki loved the blonde very much, but she didn't admit it. She was afraid of being rejected and therefore was always there, but not very close. Hinata looked at the podium, namely in the Kage box, where she saw her father smiling. It was his most sincere and joyful smile she had ever seen. She didn't know much about her father. He took her when she was 5. Then she didn't see him sincerely smiling at anyone except her mother, Kushina, and Sasuke's friend. Once she asked Kushina about it, but she did not answer. She said something like, "When the time comes, he'll tell you." And now that incredibly bright smile belonged only to her. She burst into tears. Suddenly, clones of their Kage appeared near all Uzumaki, taking the children in their arms. They disappeared as if they were not there. The rest of the Kage prepared for battle, because he assumed such an outcome. "Don't be so hostile. I want to help." With these words, Naruto was already standing in front of the Kazekage, holding his head. "Time to skin the mangy snake." With these words, he tore the skin off Kage's face, revealing the snake Sannin to the world. The snake screamed and hit the former blonde. He flew into a chair and got comfortable. "I'm not going to interfere. I'll just watch." While no one had time to recover, the snake rushed to its goal. He and the third Hokage were enveloped by a dark purple barrier. "Did you come for me, Orochimaru?" The old man was perplexed. He loved this scoundrel, but how did it happen? What did he do wrong? He saw the old man's battle again. No matter what anyone said, Naruto loved Hiruzen, even very much. Looking at this fight for the second time, our hero noticed that the old man was not trying to kill Orochimaru. However, he had no doubt that it would be so. Hiruzen was too peaceful to kill his own disciple, and with Jiraiya's death, the sorrow in his heart increased. Knowing this man since childhood, Naruto could tell that the gentleness of this man led to many problems. The first example is this situation, when a student tried to kill a teacher. However, his thoughtfulness prevailed. He knew this man, and he knew what a huge amount of problems he would bring. A predatory smile blossomed on Naruto's face as he felt a chakra scalpel cutting his own throat. The suddenness of such a phenomenon made even Minato stop, who was actively trying to get through the barrier. The next moment, a scalpel pierced the heart. However, the smile never left the man's face. Yakushi Kabuto. A very unpleasant meeting. I thought that Orochimaru would try to take me alive and personally, oh nowhere. Although it was not visible under the mask, but the blonde was very surprised. "But I'm very grateful that you showed up." Naruto paved the way to speak. "No matter what. Because I won't have to look for you to kill you." Naruto grabbed Yakushi by the throat and squeezed with all his strength. The head was separated from the body. Our red-haired man fixed his gaze on the barrier. He finally decided to save the old man. Meanwhile, in the whirlpool, Kushina calmly stood at the stove, and while drinking something, she was cooking dinner. The day promised to be calm. Like here, there was a noise in the corridor. She hurried there, saw her crying daughter and negligent husband. "What have you already done to Dante Bane?" "Hush, hush, my love. I'm a clone and it's useless to beat me. The original is now in Konoha, we had to evacuate the children urgently, I don't care what's wrong with you. I'm more interested in how you upset our girl. I didn't, waste it. Hina. Say something, you Dad. Whimper, Dad smiled. You what? Kushina froze, not understanding what had happened. Is her daughter crying because her husband smiled? Is it that rare or what? As far as she remembered, her husband often smiled, giving joy to their family. But what made little Hinata cry? I don't understand anything, let's discuss this later, because I'm going to unwind now. A boss like Hiruzen went to save, and the next moment there was a puff and the clone disappeared, leaving all the swearing inside the woman. Slight irritation from the headache was reflected on the face of the original Naruto. This technique is certainly convenient, but the headache still gets in the way. He was saying this under his breath. You never know who will hear him, ignoring Namikaze, who was tired of trying. Naruto calmly passed through the barrier that he purposefully walked towards Sarutobi, which in turn scared little Naruto. Namikaze, will he lose his grandfather today? For what? The red chakra crawled over the Jinchuriki's body, the eyes filled with blood looked at the red-haired man's back through a veil of anger. Naruto felt that look, turning around, he turned with exactly the same look in the direction of the younger one. Namikaze, you better take care of your own son. Turning around, the Hokage noticed his son's condition and reluctantly left the boundaries of the dome. Returning to the goal, Naruto noted that the old man was folding seals to summon the god of death. Without delay, he waved his hand and dispelled the technique. It cost him a lot of chakra, but this is Naruto Uzumaki, standing in front of Hiruzen. Naruto turned his back on him. I am flattered by the presence of someone like you, Uzumaki, nothing personal, you fucking snake. If you try to escape, then this will be the best option. Although, if you want, I can justify you to the village, because everything you do not of your own free will. Am I right? Sanen's eyes widened to the limit. This brought some pleasure to the scarlet-haired man, because in his memory there were still memories of his own exam. However, it's boring if the main culprit of this event is not here. The amusement in Yuzuki's voice was splashing like it was a cheap performance. Two Hokages, the first and the second, tried to attack Naruto from both sides, but they were simply scattered. When Naruto looked at his main enemy, he noticed that he was in a strong genjutsu. When it fell asleep, and Sanen realized the loss of combat power, he was about to escape, but a red barrier enveloped the battlefield. This one was clearly stronger than the purple one. A portal opened above Naruto's head. Realizing the situation, he retreated a step to the right. A one-armed, battered elderly man fell out of the gap in space. Next, a man in a black hoodie and ANBU clothes jumped right on the old man. His eyes stared intently at the person below him. You could have lowered it more gently. He's old after all. I'm not going to show pity for that bastard. The coldness in Uchiha's voice could make the fire freeze. It is necessary to reduce the time spent by Hinata so that she does not gain more from you. Naruto muttered these words under his breath, but Sasuke's sharp eye determined the meaning. What has she done? Because of you, she learned to speak coldly. I almost fainted. Their casual conversation was interrupted by a huge snake. She tried to swallow the three of them, but with one swing Sasuke cut the amphibian in half. Ignoring him, Naruto approached Shimura's body and tore out his right eye. Did he use it? No, I think Kotomatsukami will work. Okay. Naruto again tore out his eye and inserted a Sharingan. He activated the Manjika and imposed the most powerful genjutsu on Orochimaru, and so the great Sanin returned to Konoha. Or so it should have been. Suddenly Naruto was right in front of Orochimaru. You wanted to take my daughter, didn't you? Are you ready for the consequences? His hand pierced the opponent's heart. A Raisin Shuriken was formed and Ita blue ball formed, tore Sanin from the inside. Naruto's hand was also damaged and the recovery took time. It's getting worse and worse every time. He was looking at his own hand. With each destruction, he recovered worse. This could mean that his life is becoming unstable. We're leaving. Turning to his friend, He gave an order and they both disappeared. It was a spacious clearing dotted with flowers. A clear, spring river flowed through it. It's hard to believe that this place will become a grave for thousands of people. Naruto sat down and stared into the void. There are 2 years left. The usually silent Uchiha started talking. I know, Sasuke. I'm scared right now. I understand you. In the end I found a meaning for life. How is little Itachi? He's fine. Mikoto is always around him. If you weren't always sitting in your office, you'd know more. I'm sorry. My work haunts me. We prepared as best we could. I don't see the point in worrying. Anxiety, right? Naruto's eyes darkened for a moment. Although it did not hide from Uchiha, he did not raise this issue. We need to get back. I know. Upon returning, Naruto immediately went to his office in the Kage building that he wanted to go home, but some part of him couldn't look them in the eye. He knew that he would hurt them in the near future. It was a terrible feeling for him. However, his absence from dinner was not part of the plans of the 3 girls. Mito, Kushina and Hinata were looking for him all over the village. After arriving at the residence and learning from the secretary about the location of the red-haired bastard, they headed to the office. There was an oppressive atmosphere in the room. A black shadow hung over the man who was sitting at the table. She looked like a statue that spread her arms and stared intently at the newcomers. Hinata hid behind her mother's. This man was not her loving father. He was not a loving husband, and maybe, he wasn't human. Cold red eyes with a metatarsal pupil stared at the newcomers. Leave me alone. Explain to me what's going on. Why do you prepare? Almost all adult men. What are you preparing for? Kushina was furious. Without explaining anything to anyone, Naruto began active military training of the combat-ready population. Although it affected everyone from the village, but the emphasis was on men over 50. He did not mobilize a single teenager or child, as they did in other villages. The women had to stay in the village. The war is coming. A statement that, if it had gone beyond this room, would have caused panic in the countries of the elements. Don't tell me what you are. No, I will not start this war, but I will end it. I end the world where I was born. We lost and humanity ceased to exist. Is this the one that Sasuke showed me? Exactly her. There will be a Kage meeting tomorrow. I'll leave Sasuke in the village instead of me. If everything goes the way I think, then Uchiha and I will go to the battlefield. Women and teenagers have no right to go outside the village. Hinata, do you mind if I instruct you to give the order to the checkpoint? The girl hesitantly approached the man and took the scroll. She had never seen him like this before. Such a father clearly frightened her. I'm going now. See you and, I love you. The war has begun. At the moment when it all started, Naruto was sitting in his office and thinking. All the plans he had made seemed pointless now. All that he had been thinking about for so long disappeared with the appearance of a nasty and painfully familiar chakra. Madara. He hissed under his breath. There was no light in the office. All the lighting fixtures were extinguished. Only 2 red lights glowed in the darkness, in the middle of a field littered with corpses. A blond man was sitting on his knees. He looked 16 to 17. He had 3 stripes on each cheek that made him look like a fox. He was pale and his eyes were empty. It was Naruto Namikaze, from whom the biju had just been torn out. Slowly and indomitably he was dying. A black-haired girl lay nearby, nailed to the ground with a katana. Just like the guy, she was dying. She stretched out her hand, in a weak attempt to reach Naruto, so that at least for the last time to be together. The culprit of all this was looking at them from a height. Naruto drilled Madara with fading eyes. On the other hand, Minato looked at what was happening in complete disbelief. No, Kakashi, standing next to him, tried not to suffocate from the pain. During the battle with Obito, his lung was punctured and his ribs were broken. The best medic Tsunade tried to save his life, while her student tried to save Mato Guy. And so, when the situation seemed hopeless, and Namikaze Jr.'s gaze almost completely dimmed, there was an explosion. Dust rose, obscuring Naruto and Sasuke. A voice came out of the veil. And aren't you ashamed, Madara, to beat up children so much? A red head appeared from the veil. Naruto Uzumaki, the Uzumaki of the Whirlpool village, appeared on the battlefield. Without hesitating, he approached his alter ego, putting his hand on his chest that he poured in a huge amount of chakra, healing wounds and renewing life in it. Namake's eyes snapped open, as if he had woken up from a dream. Looking around, they noticed a happy, dying girl, Sasuke. "Hold on. Don't die, please." Ignoring the pain in his body and general fatigue, he rushed to the girl. "Please save her. Please. Give her my life." Naruto Jr. tearfully begged to save his girlfriend, that he loved her like no one else and didn't want her to die. Replacing both of them with a look, Uzumaki said, "It's not in my power to revive the dead. I can deliver it to Tsunade, but I'm not sure if it will help." The red-haired man turned away and walked towards Madara with a quiet, strolling step. Suddenly, the space near the children was torn apart. A black-haired man came out of the gap. He looked at the two children, and at the same moment the girl disappeared from Namake's hands. Before he had time to come to his senses, the mysterious man headed towards Uzumaki. "You're giving me a headache, you idiot," the black-haired man spoke evenly and emotionlessly. "It's because of this tone that I don't want Hina-chan to go to your training. You never know what you'll teach, and then I'll clean up." Is it really not only the nine-tailed one who does not like Uchi so much? Are you a copycat for him? It seemed that it was an ordinary friendly conversation that did not fit in with the place and the action around. Mountains of corpses, still alive but severely crippled, torn off body parts. This asshole is running wild. You're right, Naruto. I'll move you to one of Kagaya's dimensions, and I'll take care of Zetsu myself. Suddenly, Madara disappeared and tried to take Sasuke's eye, but before he knew it, he was already standing in the middle of the ice field opposite the red-haired man. The oldest Uchiha frowned. "As far as I remember, the Whirlpool village was destroyed. So why is there a second Uzumaki at home now?" Naruto stretched out in a smile. "Your moon's eye plan isn't perfect, and what is its imperfection? Come on, enlighten me, Uzumaki." Naruto's smile stretched even wider. There were only two factors. The first is the existence of your will. After pausing, he continued, "On the second. This is my existence, the technique of the 8 inner gates. The 8th gate is the gate of death." A bloody curtain broke out around Naruto. "Even if it costs my life, I will kill you, Madara." Naruto burst into white fire. 9 Gudadam formed behind him. Uchiha Sasuke stood over his protege. He thought the black thing would be inside the girl, but no. It was still hiding somewhere. Looking back, he held his gaze on Obito. It was on him that this black horseradish was. Now Zetsu was covering half of Uchiha's body, who in turn was standing still, not letting him escape. Approaching Obito, Sasuke sat down in front of him and stared into his eye. "Tell me, Uchiha. Are you ready to die?" Sasuke was adamant. Obito would die either now or later. The main thing was to kill Zetsu. But if he doesn't give another Uchiha a chance, then the red-headed one will strangle him. "I'm ready." More than ready. Obito, or rather his dark half, tried to hit with a 6-way pole, but Sasuke only jumped back and used Amaterasu. The black creature was still trying to escape, but Uchiha nailed him to the ground with an Obito pole. Using the black fire technique, he finally burned Kuro Zetsu. "It's over. Now you need to wait for Naruto." Uchiha sat down in the same place where he was standing. It remains only to wait and pray. Naruto activated 2 modes at once. 6-way Sage mode, 8 inner gates in itself. This put a lot of pressure on the body, but he ignored the pain. All he saw, all he thought about, was the enemy in front of him. The first blow broke through Madara's shield and tore off both of their hands. Without stopping, Naruto tried to strike a second blow, but Uchiha formed a pole and threw the Uzumaki with his remaining hand. Ninpo. The elements of the storm. Fong of light. A thin purple line escaped from Madara's mouth. She hit Naruto's leg, temporarily paralyzing her. Raisin Suriken. The black ball with petals was imbued with the chakra of the 6 paths. Madara evaded the technique, as suddenly a hand broke out of his chest. The symbols that make up the seal of the god of death crawled from it, coughing up blood. Naruto said, "You wanted to become a god. But in our world, There is not and cannot be a deity more real than Shinigami, the seal of 8 trigrams. Unbreakable imprisonment, a black dome formed around the two of them. The ice scattered in all directions when the ball collapsed, leaving only the wounded Uzumaki lying on the ground with the last of his strength. Madara pierced Naruto's heart, leaving a parting gift. Sasuke's heart was in great pain that he hurried to bring Naruto back to this world, but the refusal did not have time to recover. When he finally succeeded, a crippled, burned and actively decaying, half-dead Uzumaki lay in front of him. Without hesitating, he moved Tsunade to him. Save him, don't need Sasuke. The voice was hoarse, barely audible, but if you are, bring Hinata. The exclamation was weak, but Uchiha obeyed. Without waiting a second, he ordered Tsunade to keep Uzumaki alive for as long as she could. He appeared right in the middle of the dining hall without saying a word. He grabbed the first daughter of Uzumaki by the hand and disappeared. Hinata Uzumaki froze at what she saw, the strongest of all she knew. Her loving father was lying on the ground. His body was in the worst condition she had ever seen. Dad, she rushed to the corpse, but he only raised his hand and put it to her forehead. I'll give you mine, Ka. Strength. Teach Sasuke. His words were cut off, and his hand dropped. The eyes were glassy, expressing an immense sadness. Unable to stand it, Sasuke fell to his knees. He burst into tears. This has not happened since the Uchi massacre. Naruto woke up in the middle without extreme darkness, and this is what the afterlife looks like. He sat up and looked around. There was nothing here, nothing at all. A light flashed and the sage of the 6 paths, Hagoromo Otsutsuki, appeared in front of him. Behind the old man stood a gigantic red fox. Hello, my boy, the old man? How did you end up here and why is this scoundrel with you? Shut up, you idiot. I came of my own free will to tell you something. It's too early for kurama. But father, I said no. The fox lowered his muzzle like a guilty puppy. Having transferred the gaze of his mystical eyes to Naruto, the sage said, I don't like that you chose death. Even though you achieved your original goal, the sacrifice was too great. What are you talking about, old man? I couldn't have done it alone, surviving at the same time. You were the Jinchuriki of the 10-tailed one yourself, and you know perfectly well what kind of monster this is. At least you say so. The man's eyes dimmed. I'm really sorry. I won't be able to resurrect you, because you gave your soul to the Shinigami. I don't need pity, old man. I didn't deserve it, no Naruto. You deserve peace like no one else. The 9-tailed one intervened in the conversation. You see, both your spouses are pregnant. The second man's eyes widened. Both of them? Yes, does this mean I became a father? Ha ha ha. Unable to resist, Naruto jumped up and started running around in a circle. He was glad, insanely glad, but then he realized something important. But I won't be able to see them. Suddenly he frowned and returned to his seat. Naruto didn't have time to look back as the sage and kurama began to dissipate. I'm sorry, my boy, but I can't hold your soul anymore. The god of death demands payment. The fox stretched out his fist. Tears flowed down his muzzle. Uzumaki responded to this favorite gesture. Goodbye, my first friend, and everything went dark. End. There will be no second part. The plot is finished.